All right, here we go.
What's good, everybody? I'm Robert Dickens Jr.
This is Ryan Reed.
This is Elanders Frazier.
This is John Gaal, and you're listening to Volta.
Changing the conversation
For percussion educators,
Designers,
And performers.
What's up, everyone? This is John Gaal here. Season 4, Volta Percussion. Glad you're with us. I'm here with my good friends, Ryan Reed, Robert Dickens, and of course, Mr. Elanders Frazier. What's up, everyone? How we doing tonight?
doing good.
Good.
Glad to be finished with another drum corps season.
Absolutely. And home and not sleeping on a floor or a bus.
Oh, man. It has been a crazy season. Do we want to talk about that? Because we're all involved in different corps, and we all work with the same one as well. How was everyone's season's educational team this past season?
I guess I can start with Southland, man. I just want to give a good shout out to all the staff. I thought they killed it this year. Staffing was great. They did a great job. Highlights would definitely be Rotation Gang, the baseline. I thought they did an amazing job. They really killed it. And yeah, I was super hype about all the people that were there. Even the front staff, I didn't interact with them as much as the battery staff, but they all seemed like super knowledgeable, and they just did a great job.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a good season for Southwind this year. Top 3, baby. That was one of our goals, since we've been getting after it for the last 6-7 years now.
7 years, yeah. I think it always seems like to me it's like the wonderful mix of circumstances that just makes everything pop. I think we had the right momentum, we had the right staff, we had the right vision, we had the right music, we had the right show, which is important. Like just all of those things coming together. I think I'm so elated for how it ended up this season, because I feel like we had a lot of hiccups along the way. So to have that big finish like that for us and kind of how we planned for it to happen, I got nothing but smiles and congratulations. So,
and not to mention the kids worked their butts off this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to all the students that helped get Southwind to where they were, contributing to the legacy of such a storied corps. I mean, 1980 all the way to 2023. Good. We had the Phoenix rise a couple times, but but to get to here is awesome, man. It's outstanding to see it. I can't wait to see more growth happen. So, yeah, man, good season.
Dude, how was your red team summer?
Oh man, so first season with Colts, and it was I think it met all the expectations that I had plus a little bit more. The camaraderie with the staff is great, and y'all know just us, like, if that isn't locked in and solid, it's really hard to make an effort to participate, etc. So I mean, welcomed in right from the jump. Clicked with everybody right from the jump, and we had a great time teaching music. So that's one thing. And then kind of the same point with the students at Southwind, just the kids just work super hard. And I say kids, but all these, students are 19, 20, 21 in college, about to graduate college. Like I was working with people that are student teaching, like it was a different environment, but obviously, the same rules apply. Make sure the kids are taken care of, and make sure that, we're reinforcing the educational principles and just doing a good job teaching. And I think we accomplished that this year. Record season for Colts. We beat our high score twice, I believe, this season. And then also, one of our highest drum scores this season too, which is just awesome. I mean, it's great to be a part of two organizations that kind of, blew some records out this year. So that's, once again, right time, right place, just the right mix of things that happen. I don't know if 2024 that'll happen again, but 2023 was definitely a year that I will remember. very much so. So it was a great time.
It's also good to see a lot of groups building back up since the COVID era. I mean, we went through all that. I mean, we tried to do some things over the summer to keep students engaged, and it was just a hard rebuilding process for multiple years. So it's really good to finally see like things are on the up and up for a lot of the groups. Ryan, you helped out with some buddies over at Madison Scouts, and you were helping at Phantom again. Is that correct?
I was not at Phantom, but I did do the first 2 weeks of the summer at Madison, and I had a great time there. You know, the staff hang was key there. Taught with a couple former students of mine, which is a first at the drum corps level, both at Madison and at Southwind. Taught with a couple former students of mine, which was exciting to see how they've grown and kind of come into their own as teachers and whatnot. And shout out to the students at both organizations, just some of the hardest working groups that I've had the opportunity to work with. You know, Southwind, I think for me, I've always been there the first couple of weeks and seen the students kind of get their start. And I think the students came in kind of where I expected them to be, but like the growth they had over that time and then coming back at the end of the season, seeing them was just a huge amount of growth, and something I think that we all as a team can be proud of, and they as a team can be proud of. And, you know, I think that was capped off by, again, that third place finish, you know, breaking 16 in drums, which was huge for us. That was a goal, you know, that we talked about, and then really tried to push that last week, and getting to realize that with the students and seeing their excitement, I think at retreat when we told them, or when they saw that we broke 16 in drums, was something that I will remember for a while, just seeing their hard work like really pay off. Because everyone works hard over the summer. Every group is working hard. Every set of students is working their tails off, but not every set of students will get to realize competitively, or even realize in terms of like adulation from other people what their hard work was, you know. So I just kudos to both groups, just working their tails off, and being in a different environment at Madison. I was super fortunate to step into the front ensemble lead instructor role for a couple days on my time there, and work with like the educational team. And they do something cool where it's like they have a team of people that kind of oversees and coaches the educational team a little bit, which is something that might happen at other places, but I have not had the opportunity to experience. So I got some things I walked away from this summer with some new tools that I used at Southwind. I'm using with my high school now, and just it was really exciting overall.
I really like what you mentioned, because I would agree. I think the coolest thing is when you have the opportunity to teach alongside your former students. Mm-hmm. And it's just that full circle of you're investing in these individuals, hopefully for the better, and then they go off, they do their thing. And then when the time presents itself, if the opportunity arises, that they can come back and teach with you or take your place, maintaining, or if not, like excelling the legacy and still teaching that great education. I think that is extremely important and not talked enough about. Yeah, drum corps, we do have that competitive aspect, and I know we talk about the educational content's also extremely important, and you can really dive into that, especially with the students who try out and have an opportunity to march drum corps, because sometimes those students are just a different breed of hardworking, intelligent of individuals that sometimes we miss when we go back to either maybe our own high schools or around the country. It's nice that you can maybe push those students a little bit more, but having those members come back as staff and have that same desire and hunger to teach and feed, I guess you could say, the next generation, I think makes it definitely worth it. You mentioned something about you took some tips and tricks from Madison, you're applying it to your own high school. What are some things that you all probably have learned this past summer that maybe you're approaching with your fall groups in a new perspective or a new way you haven't thought about in a while?
I'll say one thing right off the jump that we incorporated that I absolutely adore. When the full core, when we get ready to do sets in ensemble, when the drum major says set, they would say the set that they were going to. So let's say we're going from set 4 to set 10. When the drum major says set, they all say set 10, and then they get set, and then we start the rep. We incorporated that at my high school, so it's not quite as sharp as drum corps. And I will say, like, when I got off the road and I got back to my first high school rehearsal, I expected to hear that when the drum major said set. And when I heard silence, I was like, why does that feel weird? And it's because at Colts, they do it every single rep. So I was like, man, that would be so cool if the kids just said it. Maybe it would make sure they didn't go on past the set. So talk to the band director. We got it all incorporated. We piloted it with the leadership and stuff like that. And now we have the entire band saying it. And is it perfect yet? No, but it's getting there. So that's one thing that we incorporated this year. It's awesome. It's awesome to see the growth.
I did the same thing with my high school students. As you all know, I teach basically just a 30-person marching band. And you never know if half the kids are going to show up or not, if they have rides or if they're even interested in doing it. But, the kids that do show up in the hot Texas heat, they're there to get a little bit better and still have some fun. So I try to incorporate that same mentality. And it's funny when you realize when they actually say it or if they don't, how much energy they're putting into it and whether it's going to be a good rep or not. Mm-hmm. And every time at the end of that rep, because my primary job right now, besides running the marching band, is focused primarily on the visual aspect, cleaning the drill. I let the head band director do the more music, and we've been fortunate this year. I've been able to hire 2 additional techs, one woodwind, one percussion. So I let my percussion guy. He's just right on the front hash because we do everyone on the front hash, no marching, and he's just there. And so I'm focusing on the visual. But I can always full band hands up, all right, full band hands down. I could tell that rep was not going to be good because not everyone committed to saying after the drum major said set, rep. And so let's reset, let's do it again. And then of course they overhype. They're like, chart 19. And yeah. And then they get after it. And every time they do it, it is like night and day difference. Mm-hmm. And that's part of the struggle with a developing band is that what you put into it is what you're going to get out, and you're going to be tired and you're not going to want to do it. But over a long period of time, and I post the run-throughs every time on our band app, and they see it, and I hope that they get excited that, oh man, I messed up on this spot, but I can get it next time. Or, hey, that was clean this rep, it wasn't clean last time. But yeah, definitely incorporating that set, and then they say the chart number right afterward is definitely an energizer, I guess, on the field as well.
That's one thing I don't think people talk enough about is, in addition to just saying the set and that kind of stuff, how much, as you were saying, John, energy it takes, from the performer side, but also from the teacher side. Teaching drum corps is hard. I almost feel like in some aspects, teaching high school might be harder because you've got way younger students. You've got the students that mom here because my mom's made me sign up and I don't want to do band, but they still contribute and they still got to, play clean to make it sound good and all that. But the amount of energy and the amount of excitement that you have to provide, I think that is one of the things walking away from the summer, teaching those groups that I did, Madison and Southwind, then coming back to my high school, who is relatively young. We have 1 senior and a boatload of freshmen. Going into that, all right, I have to be the shot in the arm, the energy in the arm for these kids and whatnot. And I don't think that's something that people talk about enough. And to tag off of that, one thing that I walked away from this summer is I thought I was organized. But maybe I wasn't as organized as I thought I was. And just actually setting schedules and plans for myself. we had our second football game last Friday, and I'm like after halftime, like putting together. We have a Saturday rehearsal. I'm like putting the schedule together, going, is this the right thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? We need percussion ensemble time, but I teach the whole percussion by myself. So I'm like, how do I give everybody the attention they need? And the front ensemble like plays this whole ballad introduction the battery doesn't do. So if I do that, how do I keep these kids from shoving drumsticks up their nose? I don't know what I'm gonna do. All right, here we go. We're doing this. And just forcing myself to make schedules more has been super helpful, and something that I walked away seeing the benefits of this summer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll let you go, Rob.
No, I was gonna say, I think the thing that I took away from the summer, that I saw Boston do this in a lot, which might not be as helpful for smaller drum-ons, but still could be helpful. One of the things that I noticed is before they came together as like a full battery, they did a lot of like duet drumming. Where the person on the inside was tapping off and they were running chunks and segments with just 2 snares or 2 quads. And obviously this would apply a lot more to snares just because, it's a larger section. But I thought that was really cool and started to use that maybe like my last 2 weeks at Southwind, just to just kind of break things up, because if you're the only tech that's there and you're the only battery person doing all the stuff with your subsections, then it might be better for you from an educational standpoint to, since you can't devote all of your time to one section, just have them break up into those small groups, and then you can hear what they're doing individually, what their interpretation is, and then you can go around and give them, individual information in the event that you don't have text for each individual section. And I think that was really good to expose like individual player interpretation, so that they could really hear themselves and their small inconsistencies outside of the line, and then also help the person that's on the outside know whether or not they were really correct and in time with the person that's on the inside of them, and like how they were interpreting it together. Because I think sometimes, at least for the battery, like once you play things so much together, the little small inconsistencies that are stopping it from being like really, really clean can kind of escape you, because you're just used to all 8 of y'all playing at the same time. But once you start to break it down into those small little pairs and stuff like that, and just making sure that they understand how they sound within these 2 people, and then within these 4 people, and then within their entire subsection and the entire, battery and the percussion ensemble, I thought that was really helpful, of just making sure they understand those levels, and like they're always listening on those levels too.
It's kind of a little bit difficult to do that with Pitt. You just push Marimba over here. My vibraphone go over there. Y'all are a pair. Right.
But in some of your your individual practice time, that's definitely an opportunity for them to pair off.
Yeah.
I see that with my high school a lot, where Garrett has them pair off 2 marimbas and then 2 vibes, and they do like these mini subsectionals on just like a chunk of music. It'll be like, a couple bars, but they will segment off, and that's a way for them, kind of what Rob was saying, for them to build like, how am I playing with the person that's right next to me? And that's my world, right? And I've always told my students, like, the person on the inside of you is your world. You don't have to focus on anything else. Just focus on being as musically, rhythmically, interpretation accurate with that individual, and it will be all right. And that's a tough gig, but I definitely get trying new things when you're the only person present. I'm fortunate to teach with another person. Shout out to Josh. But I lived that hustle for a long time, so I know that difficulty, Ryan, of being the only person there and trying to figure out your 8-hour rehearsal day, or you're the only person there. It's like, all right, I guess we're doing a lot of perk ensembles. What's happening? So.
No, I feel you. And then what's also fun is, as you're creating that schedule, you're always I don't know if you're second guessing, but you're like, is this the best way to do it?
Oh yeah.
And then like for me with the Texas heat here, okay, we can't go outside till probably this time. I still have to wait for the athletic trainer because of the wet bulb situation. Okay, we could split. I only have 1 band hall. okay, we can go in the school and use hallways. That means I need some additional techs or section leaders. Can I use the auditorium? Maybe we do mini drill. Okay, I got to talk to the theater chair person, see if it's open. Okay, yes, okay, so we'll take the kids, like I've taken the kids there, and I put my yard markers on the theater stage, and then I mark everything off. I'm like, okay, 1 step equals 2. All right, this is from the 50 to the 35. There's the front hash. It's 16 steps instead of 32, et cetera, et cetera. Here we go. And we're not, kind of just doing the shapes, and the kids are kind of going. But yeah, Rob, it's just, you have to think about almost every variable of like, okay, if it rains, what are we going to do? If it's too hot, if, someone is bleeding, who do I need to contact? And because you want to maximize those rehearsal times, because time is the most important factor for all of us. And I think with drum corps specifically, like we get really good at being super efficient, but at the high school level, kids just move slow. Like my kids move so slow. So I have to take that into consideration of, okay, if we go in the sectionals first, I can only move them 1 time before they check out. Like if we try to go to the band hall and then to the field and then back to the band hall, like all those times moving, the kids are, they're lollygagging, talking. But like, we got 10 minutes to get to the field because, a rainstorm's coming and we got to get these electronics balanced real quick or whatever.
Right.
That's what happened to us is we went out. So we did a truckload in the morning. Then we're like, all right, then we're going to go do percussion ensemble in the stadium the whole rest of the day. Get there, started raining. All right, we got 10 minutes till lunch. We're going to move everything back in because the storm's coming. And then the storm didn't come. And then we played inside for a little bit and like, all right, we're going back out for full ensemble. Oh, it started raining. All right, battery, go for full ensemble. Front ensemble, we're going to hang here for 10 more minutes. All right, now front ensemble, we're trying to start ensemble at 3. And you got 18 minutes to get to the field. A half hour later, guys, please move faster for the love of everything in the world.
At that point, they're just like, I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, I'm checked out.
All right.
I can't push this keyboard anymore. You've had the brakes on the entire time. Come on, turn the brakes off first.
Right.
Your brains are fried, man.
Man.
I remember, Rob, being on tour with Southwind, and it was just, it was one of those transition type days. So it was just Alex for the pit and then myself for the battery. And I was trying to think, how can we keep it fresh? Because I got maybe a block, 2 blocks. We don't have time to do full ensemble because maybe we don't have a field or a stadium. How can we still get things done? And I think in those moments, at least for me, that's what I remember most are those unique situations. And part of me hopes that the members remember it in a good way rather than a ass whooping, if you want to say.
Yeah.
Because I remember this one time we were housing with we were sharing housing with Spartans, and so they were drumming on one side of the school, we're on the other side, and the guard and brass are doing their thing on the field. So pits and sectionals and battery, we're doing sectionals and then we do full battery. And we don't have a place to practice because, the football team's on the other football field and, everything's going on in school. So I'm like, all right, we're going to go tracking because what else can you do? Let's go track. And we were at the top of this hill, and this was like a really big hill. And for those that are listening, if you've ever done Southwind tracking with me, it's pretty hard. And I will admit, well, actually, no, I've gone tracking before in my time, so I guess I have experience. But I always forget how difficult it is, but I don't really care. So we went forward marching down this huge hill, big incline. There are cars coming, tennis and whatnot. I'm telling them to stop, and we're just going on. And we get down to the second level of this hill, and then we just keep on going down to the third level. Like this thing is probably a half mile in elevation, maybe a mile. We get all the way down to the bottom. Kids are exhausted. I'm like, I scope it out, of course, before. I'm like, all right, there's some water fountains over there, some bathrooms. Because what was funny is when I said, all right, we're gonna go track down this entire hill, like all their eyes get super big. Because that's a mental hurdle that they're like, oh crap, I gotta do this? Like, I'm not ready for this. And then they do it, and they're like, oh, okay, I did it. I achieved it. I can get through this. Because that's part of, any growth experience is you have to break through those barriers, both mentally, physically, emotionally, all that. And so they get their water, they get their bathroom break. I said, all right, put them back on. All right, we're going back up, backwards. So I made them track the whole way backwards. And of course, I'm putting my hands up like, this is the 50. So they're balancing with me and they're following kind of me. And I'm making sure they're not going to trip over the sidewalk or anything. I gave them a couple breaks. I'm going to put them down, give them 10 seconds, put them back up. Here we go. Put them down. All right, stretch it out. All right, keep on going. So we go all the way back up. And so we did movement 1, 2. I was like, you know what time it is? We got to go back down, do movements 3 and 4. So we go all the way back down. And then I think, we should crab the way back up. We haven't done that yet. And I was like, and I even mentioned it to them. And they kind of started hyping it because they start realizing, okay, I just went down. I made it. I didn't die. I just went back up. My calves hurt, but I made it. I can do this. Okay, I just went back down. What else can John throw at me? I mean, come on. All right, we're going to go crab. Oh, crap. I'm like, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that. But we're going to go backwards again. So I think it's those, at least for me, I'm going to remember that the most this season of that. It was in South Carolina. It was 30 minutes west of Greenville, wherever that, Dripping Springs, I think it was called, or something. No, that's in Texas. I don't remember. Anyway, beautiful scenery, trees, big mountains. First time since Texas, so I could see all this. And I don't know. That's what I remember most about the season is pushing those kids more than they think they can be pushed. But then at the end, hopefully they remember that hard work. Yeah, you may not remember your score or your placement, but that experience together, that bonding moment, I think is definitely really good for everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can apply that to your high school. I don't recommend it too much because high school students sometimes they're a little bit larger than drum corps students, so you really gotta be careful. But you can find different ways to challenge them instead of get out of the same process of, all right, outside, warm up, all right, ensemble, push inside, we're done. How can you keep it fresh for the kids?
Yeah, I definitely heard them talk about that when I got back on tour.
Yes, okay. That validates my story.
It's like tracking backwards up a hill. I was like, that sounds about right. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I think that's great advice for any educator, and I would say younger educators too, because I feel like when I think back to like my first couple of years of teaching, I definitely think I was a lot more. I don't know. I mean, I think there were things where I would overtly challenge students, but I think there were also things where I was a little bit more hesitant to challenge students because someone might say that, oh, this is too hard, this is whatever, blah, 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 blah. But I also feel
it's always like, I got to clean the book. I got to clean the book. I got to clean the book.
Yeah.
Which is a big priority.
Correct. Which is a big priority. But I think that to some degree, like students overcoming a challenge period is what everything else is about. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, when during move-ins, when we're out there doing box 8s and we're doing them at, 172, 180, 190, whatever. And it's like, all right, the goal today is to get through box 1 through 3 with no one missing any instructions, no one, any blow ups. Like we're all actually getting the instructions correct. No one's missing any direction changes.
Go the right direction.
Yeah. And nobody dies. And it's like, that is a mental, I could tell, I know, at least speaking for Southwind this year, I know that was a mental hurdle for a lot of them. It's just like, one, going at that tempo, and then two, like not missing anything. And like, I have to stay here until I accomplish this. I think obviously we can't have as large of a goal depending on how much time that might take. But the reason why I bring that up for younger educators is like, I think sometimes as younger educators, or what I notice sometimes with some of my younger educators is like, they kind of get to a point to where things are a little too easy for the members. And like, they kind of don't know what to do to like get them over that hump. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, everything is not going to be easy. You have to challenge the students sometime. And you're going to have to be like, hey, we're not going on until we get 5 of these in a row correct. You know what I mean? And that little bit of resistance from a mental standpoint is what the student is going to need to play all the things that they know that they can play at a high level. Right. Like it's the same resistance. So just finding some way to help them engage that on a regular basis, like with John's example of like tracking, you know, up a hill, like that helps you engage that resistance. And you know, if you can overcome that resistance, then you can overcome all the other resistance that you need to, you know, to be able to play at a high level consistently.
The analogy of resistance training, man. How do you grow muscles in the gym? You have to do resistance training. Even if it's calisthenics, you are still putting your muscles up against some form of resistance. And it's the only way it can be done. So, yeah.
I want to go back to Ryan's comment earlier real quick about having to, you know, provide that energy sometimes. Like you could take the approach, like when I was going back to that Southland example with them tracking, when we first went down and up, like I was very stoic. I was like, this is what it's going to be. You got to rise to my level of expectation. And fortunately for those students, they did. But unfortunately, sometimes like, you know, at high school programs or developing bands, they don't have that inner drive or that confidence in themselves. Right. So like, for example, it happened this past week with my band. It was hot. I get it. We were inside for most of the rehearsal until probably the last 30 to 45 minutes. So we go outside because we have our first football game coming up. So we got to get this show because I'm very clear. Here are our goals that we're going to play for this first football game. We got to make this happen. And so we go outside and they're kind of not putting in the effort. And so I'm not blowing up at them, but I'm just like, hey, this is unacceptable. We need to do better at this. And after that comment, I immediately changed my mindset of, okay, if I'm that member on the field, how am I feeling in that moment? And so, because I'm typically in the box. And so after that rep, like during that rep, I just pick a student and I just start hyping them. I'm hyping them up. I'm like, way to go, so-and-so. Yeah, that's it. They're in time. Let's go, let's go, let's go. You know, like you see football coaches when they're hyping up their students in a play. Right?
You kind of look like a football coach right now doing takes. I just want to say that with the polo on.
And the headphones.
And the headset, right. All you need is a little mic. Yeah.
The offensive coordinator.
Right.
Oh, I make sure I mute because I have the mic on my I have it wrapped around my face, but I have it muted. But I'm hyping that kid. I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Hit this form, boom, let's go. Okay, next 12 counts. And I'm hyping. I'm counting out loud for them, and they're panting. They're I'm trying to breathe and playing everything. And then I go up to them at the end, I'm like, that was it. And I'm giving them high fives. I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. Let's reset. Let's do it again. You know, and kids, they sometimes they hype that. They get excited, like, wow, that kid, like that student, I want that from Mr. Gaal. I want that hype. But just that subtle energy change from me of I'm reading the field, we're not getting any better, just going rep after rep. Me coming down on them hard is not going to do anything. Let's flip the switch and let's just overstimulate and overhype. And it completely changed it. And then, of course, the next rep, when the drum major said set, they're like, chart 19. And then they start piling it. And I find another student and I'm hyping them up. And then the energy on the entire field.
I love it when kids get hyped, man. It is so much fun. Keeps us young. Keeps us young.
It's exciting. And but like what Ryan said, sometimes you just have to bring that energy, whether it's on the drum corps field. I guess with the drum corps setting, you're letting them grow into their own type of beast, their own type of individual ensemble that's their thing, and you're slowly walking away and letting it grow organically. But with, I would say again, high school band, unless you're at, you know, the Top Dog, Tarpon Springs, Vista Ridge, Avon High School, with that's already built in the culture for many years. You have many leaders, both in the student section and the tech section, that are helping emulate that high level of excellence. Like if you're having to create that with your small band, yes, you want it to grow naturally and organically with the student leaders, but you have to put so much energy into it. And it's exhausting. But at the end of the day, it is also just so rewarding. And, you know, that's why we do it. Because who knows if they're actually going to play that B-flat concert in tune, marching off the left foot, and they're going to hit that point close, open first position right when they're supposed to, holding their horn at the right angle and everything, right? You don't know. At the end of the day, you can just, you know, provide the energy and the conduit for them to express themselves and hope for the best.
Right. Oh man, I'm gonna be laughing about that for the rest of the night. Short 19. Oh, I love it. Oh, well, we're kind of coming down to a close here for our return episode here. This is just kicking off season 4. We've got a lot more coming for you guys, and some good planned stuff that we're very excited about. We are always here trying to change the conversation. It's written in the name, literally. So I do want to make sure that we always give a shout out to anybody that is listening to us through all of our mediums. Through whether it's iHeart, whether you're listening through Apple Podcasts, what's
Spotify.
I don't know why I lost Spotify up here. Yeah, YouTube. Of course, you can find us on social media at Volta Percussion on Instagram. You can also check us out to watch our podcast on YouTube. If you have any questions for us or want to send us any topic ideas, feel free to reach out to us by email, which is voltapercussion@gmail.com. And I'm excited for us to be back. Man, it's been more than a hot minute. It has been a couple months. It's just teardrop, but always in good company. So we got anything else for today?
Always relish the hang. Thank you as always.
Thanks.
Absolutely. All right. That's it for Volta Percussion Season 4 kickoff. We'll see y'all soon. I'm Elanders Frazier, joined by Mr. Robert Dickens Jr., Mr. John Gaal, and Mr. Ryan Reed. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Chart 19!
Chart 19! Peace, y'all.
See ya.